On International Tit Bits on Atlantic Television Network. This is a show where we bring you news, events, and stories from across the world. Here we ensure that the real on-time news are packaged for the viewing pleasure of the people. And I'm doing this today with Anita Obari. Thank you, Anita, for joining me.
Thank you.
And our headlines for today, this one is coming from Mali. Airline cancel flight to Timbuktu after sailing from Morocco. Death count rise to nearly 2,900, injuries over 2,500. And from Libya, the toys in Daima flood hit 2,000.
And from Tanzania, government denies claims of wildlife smuggling to UAE. And from North Korea, Kim leaves on train for Russia to meet Putin. From China, plane makes emergency landing after engine catches fire.
These and many more stories we will be looking at when we return from this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is International Tit Bits on Atlantic Television Network, and now the details. Sky Mali on Monday announced the cancellation of flights to the ancient northern city of Timbuktu and Gil after sail landed near Timbuktu's airport, further isolating the remote region on the edge of the Sahara Desert. Timbuktu has since August been under a blockage imposed by the Al-Qaeda-linked Jihadist alliance support group for Islam and Muslims. North Mali has been under security pressure for several weeks, rising fear of a new escalation between various acting, vying for regional control. 3 shells landed Monday morning around the airport's perimeter, with 2 hitting the United Nations mission camp. A UN official said on condition of anonymity, they left major damage and no injuries, the source said. And airport officials also reported sailing on a camp, attributing it to jihadist Sunday Aidara, president of the Association of Timbuktu Nationals in Bunkako, said the attack took place at the Sky Mali checks in passengers. The airline said on social media all flights serving the 2 cities this week will be grounded as the precaution the jihadist blockade has obstructed road access to Timbuktu. On Thursday, a men attacked a boat that provided an important link between northern cities in the Niger River, killing dozens of citizens between Timbuktu and Gil. Both cities frequently came under attack by the jihadists, but are also in a scene of skirmish between the Malian army and the predominantly Tuareg former rebel who signed a ceasefire in 2014. The latest attack coalesced with the withdrawal of the UN mission MINUSMA, which the ruling junta is pushing out after the 10 years of engagement in the shell country.
At least 2,862 people were killed in the strongest ever earthquake to hit Morocco. The Interior Ministry said on Monday, revising an earlier toll of nearly 2,700 dead. Another 2,562 people were injured, the ministry said, with rescue workers now facing a race against to find survivors. Meanwhile, cold tensions between Algeria and Morocco aside as government and civil society offered to join global solidarity efforts after the earthquake that hit the neighboring kingdom late on Friday night. The countries have had political differences for decades over a number of issues, most notably Western Sahara, where Algeria has supported an independence movement while Morocco has been trying to claim sovereignty over the region, sage for Moroccan flights. As the death toll of Morocco's most violent quake in the century surpassed 2,000 and it was clear there would be more fatalities, Algeria proposed an emergency aid plan to Moroccan authorities the next day. The plan includes a team of 80 rescue workers as well as medical and relief supplies. This is the logistical and material urgent aid Algeria is ready to send to the Moroccan people, our brothers, to face the aftermath of the violent earthquake, a foreign ministry spokesman said in a statement. The offer stands pending Morocco's approval. I'm Algerian and I stand with my brothers. Throughout messages of solidarity flooded Algerian social media, especially from the western cities where many people have felt the earthquake themselves.
As many as 2,000 people may have been drowned after a powerful storm unleashed catastrophic flood in the eastern Libyan city of Derna, according to the head of one of the country's two rival governments. Osama Haddad, Prime Minister of the eastern-based government, said on Monday that thousands were believed missing after a territorial rain over the weekend. The road crescent in Ganzi had the day toiled closer to just 250, but the worsening heat area of the Derna remains largely cut off, with local leaders claiming the situation in the city was out of control and a catastrophe. A spokesperson for the Libyan army in the east, Major General Ahmed al-Misari, suggested that as many as 5,000 to 6,000 were missing in Derna, which has a population of 100,000. The precise number date is hard to gauge in communications down an administration hampered by the decade-long battle for power between two rival governments, each backed by their own militaries. Meanwhile, rescue team in eastern Libya has retrieved hundreds of bodies from the rubble in the coastal city that has been inundated by the devastating flood. The humanitarian agency said Tuesday authorities estimated that as many as 2,000 people are believed to date in the city of Derna.
Tanzanian airports regulators have denied allowing smuggling of wildlife. Tanzania airports regulators has denied allowing the smuggling of wildlife from a park in the northern region to Middle East countries. It follows claims on social media that the wild animals were being trafficked on cargo planes from Loliondo near the famous Serengeti National Park to the United Arab Emirates. The Tanzania Civil Aviation Authority termed the allegations completely false and noting that the airport in Loliondo was not a designated entry or exit point. There were claims that a plane carrying wildlife had been seen on 26 August, but the TCAA disputed that, saying the last flight to Loliondo was on 19 July and has a designated airport with ordinary cargo. The authority has a real-time monitoring system and all international flights entered and exit through designated entry or exit airports such as Kilimanjaro International Airport, Julius Nyerere International Airport, and Ahmad Abeid Karuma International Airport, it said in a statement. It said the reports were aimed at soiling the image of the country and urged Tanzanians to ignore them.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was traveling to Russia by armored train earlier Tuesday to meet President Vladimir Putin. Pyongyang reported with face-to-face talk potentially focus on weapons sale. Experts suggest Putin is seeking artillery shell and I-think missile from North Korea to Moscow in Ukraine, while Kim is reportedly in search of advanced technology for satellites and nuclear powers submarines, as well as food aid for its impoverished nation. Kim left there by his train on Sunday afternoon to visit Russian Federation and was accompanied by senior figure in the Communist Party. The government and military agency, the official Karen Central News Agency, reported. KCNA did not report on the location of Kim's train Tuesday, including whether it had crossed the Russian border. On Monday, the agency and the report that the repeated comrade Kim Jong-un will meet with will meet and have a talk with a comrade Putin during the visit. The Kremlin also confirmed that visit would visit Russia shortly. Washington swiftly drove with upcoming summit as a sign Putin was begging for help with his flooding invasion of Ukraine. A confirmation from North Korea in days of speculation after U.S. and other officials said recently that Kim, who rarely leaves North Korea, was likely to head to Vladivostok for armed talk with Putin. Kim has not traveled outside the North since the start of coronavirus pandemic.
An Air China plane had to make an emergency landing in Singapore after its engine caught fire. Pictures and videos of a plane cabin filled with smoke have surfaced on the internet. According to CNN, passengers were evacuated from the aircraft by using the emergency exit slide, while dark smoke billowed from the engine that was still on fire. According to a statement from the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, all 146 passengers and 9 crew members safely evacuated after landing at about 4:15 p.m. local time. An ex-user shared a video of passengers exiting from the emergency slide. The caption read, "Pratt & Whitney engine on fire, Air China flight evacuated on Singapore runway. CA403 TFU seen squawking 7700 shortly before landing at Singapore due to PW1100G engine fire. Heavy smoke in the cabin. Crew evacuated the plane on the runway. The aircraft is a 4-year-old A320neo B305J, he wrote on X. Singapore's Shanghai Airport, in a statement on Facebook, wrote on 10 September 2023 at 15:59 hours, an Air China flight CA403 flying to Singapore Shanghai Airport from Chengdu, China, reported smoke in the forward cargo hold and lavatory, declared an emergency and requested priority landing. CA403 was given priority and landed on Shanghai Airport runway 3 at about 16:15 hours.
A backup plan on spare parts are en route to India for Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who is stranded along with his country's delegation after the plane has arrived on a breakdown. Trudeau will either fly home on the backup plane or wait for the original plane to be repaired, said a government official speaking to Bloomberg on condition that weren't named. The official declined to give details about what exactly needs repairing. The Canadian Air Force continued their best effort to get the Canadian delegation home, said a statement from the Trudeau's office. Their latest update shows an earlier possible departure on Tuesday late afternoon. The situation remained fluid. The plane drama only added to Trudeau's woe. It is travels to India. His first trip in 2018 became a diplomatic disaster after it emerged that a man who has been convicted of attempting to assassinate an Indian politician on Canadian soil somehow ended up on Canada's guest list for an event. On this trip, even before the plane breakdown, Trudeau had been publicly criticized by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for allegedly allowing the anti-India activists of extremist elements in Canada, a reference to Kish group that advocated for an independent homeland known as Kashitan.
Taiwan said Tuesday it spotted 22 Chinese military aircraft and 20 vessels near the island over the previous 24 hours as Beijing steps up its military activities in the area. Over the weekend, the United States and Canada sailed warships through the Taiwan Strait in a challenge to China's sweeping territorial claims. On Monday, China sailed a naval formation led by its aircraft carrier Shandong about 70 miles to the Taiwan southeast. The vessels was expected to conduct drills simulating aircraft, submarine, warship, and land attacks, according to Chinese state media. 13 of the Chinese military aircraft reported on Tuesday had crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait, an unofficial demarcation zone between China and Taiwan, according to Taiwan's defense ministry. China claims Taiwan, a self-ruled democracy, as part of its territory to be reunited by force if necessary. Over the past year, Beijing has stepped up military activities around the island, including by sending warships and warplanes on the near-daily basis. The period from July to September this year was a peak period for the Chinese Communist Party's exercises. Major General Hang Wanjing, the Assistant Deputy Chief with the General Staff for Intelligence of Taiwan's Defense Ministry, said during a press conference. There are a lot of warship activities in the waters surrounding the Taiwan Strait. There was also a large number of warships operating in different areas in the South China Sea and East China Sea, he said. Huang said the Taiwanese military would continue to monitor the movements of Chinese warplanes and warships. On Saturday, the USS Ralph Johnson and the Royal Canadian Navy's Halifax-class frigate HMCS Ottawa sailed through the Taiwan Strait. The timing coincided with the Group of 20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi.
The official Sacred Heart Special Court has permitted the former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan to talk to his son over the phone till September 15, reported the New International. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief has been demanding to talk to his lawyers as well as his son for a long time now. One of the Iran car lawyers, Sharat Ahmad Ranji, said that the court has ordered the jail official to allow telephonic conversation between the PTI chief and his son, but the jail official did not grant permission, according to the ARY News. Moreover, the lawyers of Iran Khan were also not allowed by the police to meet him at the Atok jail, ARY News reported. Lawyer Sharat Ahmad Ranja and Kohar Ali were scheduled to meet Khan earlier this month. According to the News International, Judge Habal Hassan Al-Kwarin issued a notice to Atok jail Superintendent Ralph Sherrod seeking a report on the implementation of the court order. Moreover, PTI Chairman Khan also approached the special court against the jail superintendent for not complying with his order, this acting agreement for telephonic conversation with his son, reported the News International.
Several major Japanese companies have decided to stop using stars who are represented by Johnny and Associates, an entertainment company at the center of a sexual assault scandal. Beverage maker Asahi Group Holdings, known for its super dry beer, will no longer air its ads featuring Junichi Okada, Toma Ikuta, and Sho Sakurai. The company said Tuesday, and there are no plans to sign singers, dancers, or actors affiliated with Johnny's. Other companies, including Japan's flagship carrier Japan Airlines and major insurer Nippon Life Insurance Company, are following suit in distancing themselves from the scandal. Johnny and Associates remain one of Japan's most powerful entertainment companies, even after an investigation confirmed its late founder, Johnny Kitagawa, sexually assaulted several hundred children and teens over decades while whispers of his wrongdoings were ignored. His niece resigned as chief executive last week, but still owns a company that specializes in boy bands. Critics say the mainstream news media kept silent because it didn't want to lose access to Johnny's stars for their programming. But public opinion has shifted dramatically in recent months, with a wave of companies dropping Johnny's expected to grow. It is unclear whether the dozens of artists signed with Johnny's will defect in droves to other companies. Johnny's operates as both agents for performers and content producers, as well as operating a school for future performers, meaning artists may have limited options if they wanted to leave.
This is International Tit Bits on Atlantic Television Network. We return after this break. Welcome back. This is International Tit Bits on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. Malaysia's Court of Appeal on Tuesday upheld the acquittal of former Prime Minister Najib Razak of audits tampering in relation to the multi-million-dollar looting of the One Malaysia Development's Bahab State Fund. Although he remains in prison for other grave change, the court struck out the appeal after prosecutors tried to meet deadline in filing documents to support their bid. Najib lawyers Mohammed Shafed Abdullahi told a news conference Najib 70 was acquitted in March after the High Court ruled prosecutors failed to show that he abused his position to order amendment to a 1 MDB audit report in 2016 to cover up wrongdoings before it was presented in Parliament. The acquittal is upheld without any further process, he said, adding that the prosecutors are likely to appeal at the top court. The audit attempting is one of the NAB's several corruption trials. He is currently serving a 12-year jail term after losing his final appeal last year in his face of several corruption trials linked to the I-1MDB scandals. The 1MDB fund was set up months after NAB became Prime Minister in 2009. Investigators allege more than 4.5 billion was stolen from the fund and loaded by Najib's association through the lawyers of bank accounts in the United States and other countries to finance Hollywood film and extravagant purchases that include hotels, a luxury yacht at the jewelry's more than 700 million loaded.
Israel accused Iran on Monday of building an airport in southern Lebanon to be used as a launch pad for attacks against Israelis across the border, signaling a possible escalation in tensions between the regional foes. Speaking at a high-profile security conference hosted by Richman University near Tel Aviv, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant claimed Iran has been building a runway that slices through forested mountains just 20 kilometers from Israel's northern border. Gallant displayed satellite photographs that he said showed the site where the Iranian national flag and the flag of Lebanon's militant Hezbollah group could be seen. Gallant alleged that Iran is planning to act against the citizens of Israel using the runway as a base. Iran's mission to the United Nations did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A spokesperson for Hezbollah declined to comment on Israeli accusations. The defense minister did not specify when the satellite photos were taken. The location he gave was near the hilly Lebanese city of Jazin, across the border from the Israeli town of Metula. Hezbollah earlier this year invited journalists to watch a military exercise in a nearby town in southern Lebanon. Satellite images from Planet Labs Incorporated obtained by the Associated Press from July 28 showed work on a 1.2-kilometer runway with 4 hangars constructed on a tarmac joint just east of the runway. Satellite images from January showed the runway largely unpaved. Israel has said in recent years that it shot down Hezbollah or Iranian-linked drones launched from Lebanon and Syria.
President Volodymyr Zelensky and his allies urged Ukrainians on Monday to keep their focus squarely on their war effect 18 months into Russia's invasion. As indicated, authorities in Kiev were still informed a long campaign. Zelensky has long called for greater focus on the war effect and pledged to intensify a crackdown on corruption as part of Ukraine's bid to join the European Union. A campaign promoted the dismissal of Ukraine's defense minister last week and has also seen the detention of business magnate who was once Zelensky's mentor on fraud charges. But appeal by Zelensky and his lieutenants are now more stringent as Ukraine's military press is steady but relatively slow. Counteroffensive in Russia-occupied area, although today is the 565 days of the war, each and every one must be focused on the defense of the state, as in the early days, Zelensky said in his nightly video message. Russia do not hope to win, the enemy hope only that we will not withstand it all. Ukraine must stand firm. Everything that strengthens us is a priority and a solid priority. There can be no weakenings. We will allow to work to weaken Ukraine. The head of Zelensky party in parliament praised by the point, saying that presidents could no longer be responsible for cobblestone, stadium, tennis courts, and other junks. Starting from the new year, the country will have to switch to a wartime budget where there will be no more spending of all these things. David Akaremia said on Telegram, only defense and only weapons.
Volodymyr Zelensky has said the Russian forces will run if Ukraine can drive home its counteroffensive. It comes as Ukraine recaptured oil and gas drilling platforms in the Black Sea, which have been occupied by Russia since the illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014. The boycott towers had been used by Russia as landing pads for military helicopters and as a way of monitoring the movement of ships in the Black Sea. Now, after the breakthrough in the Black Sea, Ukraine is hoping to push on in the Zaporizhia region to the northeast of Crimea. Securing this region has been a key aim of the Russian invasion, as it and Donetsk provide a land bridge to Crimea, which has been home to the Russian Navy warm water fleet, which has a base in Sevastopol for 250 years.
Ukraine said it has been successfully taking control of 4 gas drilling platforms in the North Black Sea, close to the Crimean Peninsula. Video of the operation, which Ukraine says took place last month, shows special forces removing Russian military equipment. Russia seized control of the so-called Bakhmut towers in 2015, shortly after it illegally annexed Crimea. There has been a battle for control of the strategic water since last year. A video and statement released by Ukraine's military intelligence titled Battle for the Sea offer a real glimpse into the sphere of the conflict. In the video, reporters cannot verify red inflatable boats and seen speeding across the Black Sea, carrying team of Ukraine special forces. At one point, the boat passed close to Snake Island, also known as Zemiye Island, which was captured by Russia on the first day of its full-scale invasion last year and recaptured 4 months later. Troops are seen clambering onto one of the platforms and removing Russia's supply as well as vital radar equipment. On the drilling platform, the Russians set up a warehouse with ammunition and full of helicopters. The video commentary says they also placed radar stations on the towers with the help of which they monitor the situation in the entire Black Sea. And today we will be looking at the special story from Uganda, and communicating with me today in this wonderful story is Mr. Raymond Charles Mbata, an international affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's look at our story for today. Son set Ugandan's father's car dealership shop on fire, destroyed property of business partner. A Ugandan man on a mission to revenge against his father has been accused of setting ablaze the workshop of Nigerian national involved in automobile dealing in Pretoria, South Africa. It was revealed that Mr. Owolabi Gradomasi, an affected associate of the business, narrated that he and his colleagues left the workshop around 6 p.m. on the day of the incident. He confirmed that when they got a call about a fire at their business unit, they assumed it was the occasional transformer explosion that usually occur. He clarified that it often happens when thieves try to steal cables from their substation. He added that such blast didn't cause any significant damage to their shop, so they weren't alarmed but went to check. How I pieced my life together after they rushed my shop twice. South Africa, and over 70 dead as fire gouged migrant building in Johannesburg. When he got close to the venue, they saw flame that agitated them. He said when a partner individually arrived at the business property, the fire service was already at the scene to quench the fire. Mr. Tunji Balogun, the business partner affected by the incident, recounts that tried to save some of the vehicles during the extinguishing, but was advised that against taking such dangerous action by the fire brigade. Before the awful happened, the Ugandan national, whose subtitle part of the location of the dealer's office, said the owner of the office has a conflict with his son. It was also revealed that an East African man has been operating an automobile spare part business on its property for 7 years. It was also disclosed that sometimes in 2022, the man established the same type of business in another part of South Africa and handed over the motor vehicle components business he earlier managed to his son. This is really like, I don't even know how to place this, because we are not talking about strangers here. This is a father and a son in business, and all of this is happening. We are talking about millions of dollars when it has to do with this business. We are looking at, before I ask my question, I really want to understand something. This has to do with his son. The father has opened another, the same business. The father has opened a place for his son. And then the son is doing quite very well in this business with the mindset, okay, let me go and help my father. The same strategy I put for this particular one to work, let me put it for my father's business as well, so that it will blossom also. And now there is no longer understanding between a father and a son, getting to an extent where life was almost lost. So I'm asking, what do you think children should do before taking over their father's business, be it alive or dead? What do you think should be put in place before they think of taking their father's business?
I think that business is business. Family does not have anything to do with business, because business is business. Any business that is undocumented is as much as not existent. It's very pitiable that a man couldn't guide his son and work with his son, even where he's alive. And the son is also putting effort to make sure that he brings more profits to the business, to, bring more turnover for the business, even investing more money, that he even paid the profits from the investment into his father's account, because he didn't have the documentation to have such an account. And in trying to retrieve some of this money, which he allegedly borrowed from his girlfriend, to invest in the business, in his father's business, and the dad found it difficult to return this money to his son, which the son going to burn down parts of the business of father. I think the father is already he's found lacking in being a true father. Your son have been called, you called your son into the business, you guided your son through the business, and your son is now making good moves in the business. Although it is up to the son to have asked for some documentation to show that I am in partnership with you in this business. I'm investing so and so amount of money in this business. But the dad took advantage of the family relationship he had with the son not to document such proceedings, and it is to his shame. He has lost the business. He's going to spend so much more than his son has ever lost. So it's I think that what we have to take from this story, this sad story, is that whatever it is that has to do with transactions, with business, with agreements, a written paper is better than memory. A written paper is better than blood. Family blood, we are related like this, you are this to me, and anything that is written down stands.
Will you say the father went too far? Because, yes, like you have earlier mentioned, the son went extra mile to borrow money from his girlfriend to make sure that this business blossom. But the father did not just stop there. Remember, it wasn't something, it's a different thing if I'm like, come, let's do this business together, let's partner, let's do this together. But the father did not say, let's partner. He rather opened a shop for his son and said, this is for you. Manage this, as in, manage this for you, stand with this. But will you say the father went too far because he still have to go and take over the business that he has already given to the son? He took over the business, and taking over the business was not just enough. He wanted the son out of the house, and because the son did not agree to it, he has to involve court to come and chase the son away from the house. So will you say the son went too far by setting his father's shop ablaze, or will you say the father went too far by doing what he did?
I think there's a portion in the Bible that says, honor thy parents, honor thy father and thy mother. And also, it also gives a reciprocal gesture. And do not anger thy children. As it works, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. I cannot permit and say that the action that the son took by burning down the father's business is the solution to it. But he is a younger man. He doesn't know his left from his right, at least concerning this scale of events. But the dad is supposed to be the one to guide. The dad did not do well in guiding. If he opened a new business for his son, he should leave the son to be able to see how far he can go. If he can give any advice, it is based on this is how you ought to do this. This is how you ought to do this. Not to stifle the boy's growth. So I think that in any way you look at it, they will still involve the courts. The courts will come back again.
Now this is a
Yes.
serious lesson that the whole world should learn. I mean, they should come into terms with this and know, and some things have to be done, because I think if the son had a proper documentation of that business, the money wouldn't have gone into his father's account, because already the company was given to him.
Yes.
So what are those things what are those things that should be done when it has to do with family business? Well, because I don't know, should there be documentation when it has to do with a family business? If yes, what are those things that should be done? What are those things that should be put in place to avoid this occurring in the nearest future?
Definitely. For any business to start, there are documentations done with registering such businesses in the law. In Nigeria here, you have Corporate Affairs Commission. If a new partner is to be incorporated in a branch of the business, the partner should be notified, and the partner should come with his own identification. And with those identifications, it is easy for that partner to open a bank account using the documents of the bank, using documents of the business. So I think that other people's businesses have been affected. Why this issue is coming up is that part of the properties where this guy burned down, Nigerians do business there. That is why it is in the news now. Because Nigerians has lost their source of income because of a father and a son's squabble. So I think that in time coming, what the son ought to learn is that whatever business you are doing, it is not about family. Whether it is family or not, business is business. Documentation is very, very important. If you do not know what step to take, call in a lawyer. A lawyer will guide you and exact things you need to do. If the family feels that, you're eroding the kind of trust that we have among ourselves, not to do business without having to write any documentation, that was in the past. That was when we were using cowries. Now we're using dollars. Money is being spent. It has to be documented and it has to be accounted for. That's what I have to say concerning that.
It's quite disheartening that this has to happen, and it not just affect the father, like you said, affected some of our people over there. So what do you think, what will happen right now? Because the man has lost almost everything, and then the son does not have anything either. Definitely this matter will be taken to court. So what do you think would be the positive thing that will happen to, what do you think will be, do you think that Nigeria, the people involved in this issue, do you think they will still have something to hold on to again?
Definitely. The laws of South Africa somehow has to protect business owners. And if the father and the son are having squabbles that they could not settle primarily inside the house, and it has now involved other people's businesses, definitely the law has to protect them. The law has to protect those other businesses. And so I know that the son will be arrested. And when he's arrested, it will go to court. And when it goes to court, when the details of the case is being spelled out, the judge in his wisdom will know what to do. But definitely, other people that were affected in this business will have to be compensated. So maybe you might find out that at the end of the day, son has as ashamed and as unabashedly disgraceful as it is, they will have to be compensated completely and accurately. If not, I advise them to go to the Nigerian High Commission in Johannesburg or in Pretoria and ask for redress. That's what I have to say.
You said something that is still ringing in my head. You were like, because the son did not know his left from right, a certain age to do business, and the father leaves business in his hand. And because I see children, I see minors now, age of 11, 13, they are into serious business and they're doing well. I call it anything that brings money is serious business. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. But when you are saying doesn't know left from right, don't you think this has more to do with psychological aspects?
Businesses. That's why I say he doesn't know his left from the right. Do you cut the nose off the face to spite the face? Are you trying to make things better or are you trying to make things worse?
But in a situation that, with what he said, the reason he sent money to his father's account is because he does not have the right documentation to have such amounts of money in his account. So what do you think would have been the best position, the best thing for him to do at that moment? Because this does not just come, it's not something that happened just once. The father did not just, it wasn't just about not giving him the money. The father went ahead to take over the business, take back the business that he initially opened for him. So what do you think the son would have done, the best thing that he would have done, even without document? Because taking a matter to court without evidence is as good as not.
Anyway. Doesn't thrive in, the father wouldn't have had any money to hold on to. The father was holding on to money that was reinvested into the business. That money had also played a role in, there are certain company documents that you have, you know, you have receipts, you have documents to show that I use this money for so and so business.
But remember, you don't have, like, there is no document here. Everything is in his father's father's position. That is why the father was able to take back this business. The reason that the father was able to take back the business because he has all the documents. The son has nothing. What do you think would have been the right thing? Of course, we are not supposing the fact that this place is being set on fire because it is not doing any of them good. But at this point that there is no documents anywhere because the father can simply say, I told my son to help me manage this for me and not to own it. So if he has taken this to court, what do you think would have been the outcome without any evidence to show?
I think that there are transactions that the son had with other people that made profit, that the son would have used as a benchmark, like the courts verify these documents to show that I brought so and so money into this company with the transactions I made with so and so people.
Well, it's still quite complicated because
It is better than burning the building down.
Yes,
it's better than burning the business down.
But it's a bit complicated because if I'm working for someone, irrespective of the amount of money that I am bringing in, it doesn't matter. What matters is what they pay me at the end of the month. You understand?
Yeah.
As long as I do not have document to say, this is a business I did, this is mine, my father gave this to me, I own it, and this is what I put in his account. This is my money, and he refused to give it to me. Maybe they would have taken it off from there. But in a situation that everything was in his father's possession, the name, everything is his father's, and that means it actually had nothing to hold on to. But again, if you're doing business with someone, whether it's family business, whether it's your father or whatever, whether it's with someone else, let's learn to control our temper. Destroying things doesn't make things right. Messing things up would actually not make things right. Wrong cannot, you can't pay right. Wrong with wrong. You can only pay wrong with right. So let's learn to control our emotions when it comes to business. Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond.
It's my pleasure. Always.
It's good having you.
And you too.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll be looking forward to know what the outcome of this will be. If they will go to court, and if they go to court, we'll know what the outcome will be. And whatever thing we get to hear, of course, we'll bring it to you. Thank you so much, our viewers, for staying there. I am Immaculata Jacob Ericana. If you miss out on any of the stories, join us on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website at atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching and continue to stay connected on ATM Socials.